Welcome to the Tavern at the End of the Internet, where we talk about the internet as a community, an industry, and any other news that floats through our doors. Come take a seat. My name's James.
And my name's Reese.
And this is our first episode.
Yeah, it's actually opening them doors and having the beer flowing well. I'm looking forward to getting my first sip. Hang on, wait. Delicious.
Yeah, really adds to the visual effect to this audio medium.
I was honestly hoping you could just hear a bit of a glug, 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 glug as it went right in my mouth. That would have been great.
That's fine. Just add it in post.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to go for make it weekly.
Yeah, weekly at this point in time. Sounds like it's going to be the way to go.
Yeah, and we're just two people who are incredibly unqualified, underprepared, and under-researched, and we're just giving our opinions.
That's what happens when you go to a bar. It's great.
And that's what's safe about the internet is we can give opinions. Nothing bad's going to happen.
Nobody ever hates when you put an opinion on the internet.
Ever. Now, I guess that is as good a time as any to crack into this first topic of this week. I guess it's this week, but it was kind of last week.
It really was, but it's carried over. But it's carried over strongly. Like, it's not just a little thing that's died down like a candle flame. This thing is a full bonfire.
I mean, it is the month after all.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I guess depending on when we get this up, it's probably going on about a week ago. This started what has been called the Voxpocalypse.
I can't wait. Yeah. Gotta love that Vox Adpocalypse. What's that? This is Adpocalypse, what, 3 or 4 now?
People are calling it Adpocalypse 2, but I'm pretty sure it's the third. I think the first one just kind of carried on.
Yeah, I thought, okay, because I thought the first one happened, and then the second one was PewDiePie on the bridge, and that was what caused number 2.
Oh, was that not the first?
No, because the first one was PewDiePie dressing up as the military person and doing the anti-Semitic jokes.
God, all hail our Swedish overlord. Hey, so for anyone who's unfamiliar, we've got Carlos Mozza, a journalist for Vox, host of a show called Strike Through, and Steven Crowder, a comedian and a right-wing commentator on a show called Loud with Crowder. Yeah.
I used to watch Crowder back when I first found out about him with the forbidden other gay person online who is known for his antics and stirring things up.
Who? I honestly did not know who Crowder was. I mean, he's got a channel of approaching 4 million, but I had no clue who he was until this controversy.
No, I found out about him through Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh, yeah. God, that's...
Yeah. It's really weird to think about because Milo's kind of gone completely irrelevant with the debt and stuff apparently he owes. So that's kind of why he's dropped off the radar because he can't afford to do anything. Yeah.
We are actually seeing kind of like parallels between a lot of previous drama with this one. So just to catch everyone up on this whole Mozza and Crowder thing, the Voxpocalypse, over the past few years, Crowder's been dropping homophobic and racist terms about Mozza. At the beginning of Pride Month, Mozza made a Twitter thread about this, claiming that YouTube has created a platform that not only facilitates but promotes, right-wing monsters and stuff.
Yeah, not just on top of the right-wing stuff, just harassment and bullying in general, because, that's like never happened on the internet before.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the interesting ones too, because that's one of his key points, is that he got doxxed, he gets harassed. Every time he's mentioned on Crowder's show, he gets this wave of abuse.
Yeah, actually, just from what I remember, when he was going through everything and talking about how much he was being bullied and harassed by Crowder, especially when he, jump cut and took all those sweet cherry-picked moments out of his videos, it was really interesting to see how he chose, of all months, the month of, what are we in, June? This special month to do it, because you can't respond powerfully or with any sort of intensity, because then you'd be pulled around and any sort of exist, no wonder that's happened. But it's still going. He's still surviving.
Who, Crowder?
Crowder is, yeah, he's going hard at it.
So he was set to be lynched by the Twitter mob. YouTube steps in to try and circumnavigate this disaster. And they effectively came up blank. They said, we looked at all his content. He didn't incite harassment. He didn't dox you. He didn't give out any information.
Crowder did what he did, but those things were those things he did not do.
Yeah, so exactly. What he did, undeniably, was make offensive statements. He was intending to be offensive, and that's what a edgy comedian will do. Does it violate the rules is pretty much all that was that's all that they were looking at, effectively, was the rules. And he didn't get harassed and get doxxed. I think at a certain point, when does it become the content creator's job to look after their own fan base? You know?
Yeah, funnily enough, speaking prior about Milo Yiannopoulos, he actually had that same question put to him. I remember from a while back. They were sort of like, your fans did stuff. People did this in your name. And he's like, well, I disregard them. I disassociate. They're the people I'm not interested in. I don't want to be a part of that. That's horrible. But for some reason, regardless of which, if they put their name on it, well, think of if you remember that horrible event that occurred earlier this year in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
And he dropped the subscribe to PewDiePie meme.
PewDiePie, and I guess in this case, same with Crowder, just openly said, I don't condone this. I've never condoned this. These people are taking matters into their own hands. I don't think that a content creator should ever be punished. I mean, just the other day, somebody got banned. I think it's just a suspension from Twitch because somebody used the TTS to drop racial slurs when they were out of the room. I mean, why would a content creator get banned for that? That's just insane because, and I guess that's kind of what's happening here. I mean, Crowder should have been demonetized for those videos, and he probably was because he's being offensive, right? And that's typically what Google's standpoint has always been. If you're being offensive, we don't want you on our platform. Get off.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand that completely.
Yeah, this is where it's been kind of escalated by Mozza, where he's saying, I don't care that he's demonetized. He should be off the platform.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Which is, I mean, that's extreme. I guess that's only really happened to, what's InfoWars?
Alex Jones.
Yeah, that's only happened to Alex Jones so far, I think.
Turning the friggin' frogs game.
And he still just finds his way onto every bloody podcast.
Did you see him today on Crowder?
Yeah. He. The fact that he stays out of prison is just incredible. So Mozza wanted this channel taken down. He wanted to demonetize, and that was happened instantly. Not instantly, but they faffed about a bit before demonetizing, and then they wanted his channel taken off the platform, which, I mean, it seems like such an extreme here. So what now is happening is people are going to the advertisers. Advertisers are either pulling out or showing concern, and in kind of wake of this, Google's then released their updated...
the updated terms of service.
Updated their hate speech policies in particular. Which just wiped across the platform. We're talking even history channels that happen to show documentaries about Nazis are getting demonetized.
The swastikas in them, and they're like, done. No more. Nothing of that.
Click, pow, you're done. And honestly, I mean, that's obviously unfortunate, but that's happened every time YouTube's made one of these big, heavy-handed fixes. They're just like, we'll fix it with the fix stick and just clean up all kinds of channels for all kinds of reasons. It happens every time they do something like this.
Bro, when you just said when you said fix stick, all I could think of was like a roulette dealer or a roulette. I don't actually. What would you call them? Just like the person that works at the casino that does the roulette.
Yeah.
When they have the fucking stick with the rake on the end of it that brings the chips towards themselves.
Yeah.
I just sort of think of that and see like all of these channels that are in the crossfire and just like grabs all of them and then dumps them in the fucking bin right in front of them.
Yeah, if the chip is colored too far to the red, then he just swipes it off the table.
Exactly right. Oh man, that's I think that was great. So what an analogy.
I mean, and now it's all so trying to get Crowder off the platform was the original goal. YouTube effectively said it's not going to happen. They've made all these compromises. He has to take his offensive merch down. He has to, he's getting demonetized and all that kind of stuff. But they're not going to take him off the platform. So, tons of spicy drama. Everyone's piling in. And then just the other day, bloody New York Times, of all people, decides to chip in their 2 cents.
I didn't even know about this. Wait, what'd they say?
Just the other day, they made a article titled "The Making of a YouTube Radical," and just collaged a bunch of, any kind of relatively right-leaning commentator, including Philly D, which is just bizarre considering his incredibly kind of leftist standpoint.
Oh shit, Philly D is part of a radical right-winger. That's,
didn't you know? Protect the kids.
I gotta say, I didn't realize that Phil promoted the right-leaning
agenda
politics.
Yeah, I don't think he realized that either, let's be honest. But yeah, I mean, one of the good arguments about this is just that YouTube, it doesn't push people down any particular paths, at least that I've noticed, which is, purely anecdotal evidence. But if you watch something, it will keep promoting that too. That is just what the algorithm has always done. They've actually been pretty good with taking down false news. At least that's kind of what they've been working on over the past year or so.
It's been pretty, at least for legitimate world news, regardless of any other sort of intrapersonal YouTube crap. They've been pretty good about taking down false news around the world, which has been interesting, actually, or at least, what's the term to use when you search for something and you can't find it? It's sort of like that. They take it away.
They suppress it. They suppress it.
Suppress it. Thank you very much. They do suppress it.
I don't think anyone's really been complaining about it too much since either, which I'm assuming it's working. Or maybe they're just suppressing the complaints really well. I wouldn't know.
Just make a YouTube video about YouTube has suppressed all my videos. Nobody can see them. I've been censored.
Yeah,
and then that video gets extra censored.
You somehow get -5 views or something like that.
Yeah, like you owe them AdSense.
Yeah, Google Hitman rock over your house. But yeah, where this goes, where this Voxpocalypse goes, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I feel like any advertisers that would actually be scared off at this point would have already left after the original Adpocalypse 1 or 2.
Yeah. Look, I honestly want to believe, and this is kind of how I see it. So look, every single company, I don't know about you, but every company that I either follow on Facebook/Twitter or I get promoted to me on Facebook, all of them have a rainbow emoji, or at least not emoji. What the fuck am I saying? Profile pic right now. And I sort of look at it and I think, if they're the ones and they've all kept all of their ads on at this point in time, then they're either, and this is the one I hope for, they're either being cynical enough to look through it and then, I guess, choose educated guess-wise who to follow and where to put their ads, or they're just being ignorant, which is probably going to piss more people off.
I think that's kind of the main argument too. It's just the fact that these people are putting the rainbows on. And
lo and behold, July 1st, everyone will be back to normal.
Yeah, and not actually making any policy change during the month.
Exactly.
That's kind of the complaint. So who knows? Maybe this whole Voxpocalypse thing actually just evaporates at the end of the month.
It may very well do. I mean, that might be the reason. Actually, no, I don't want to say it might be the reason that it's gained any traction, because I feel like it's just conveniently timed. It may have an input because it was the month of Pride, but that being said, I'd like to believe it was just conveniently timed, not specifically and chosen to be in this month to drive up more views, clicks. I don't know. What would you call that for Twitter? Views? Impressions?
No,
that's the word they use, isn't it?
Yeah. It's impressions on Twitter. I think that it wasn't so much that they picked this because it's a good month for it, more that that's kind of like that's what annoyed Mozza into action, was seeing, because YouTube, they invested all this money into promoting LGBTQ content and getting, creators and stuff and making all this promotional stuff. It's probably just pissed him off. That's kind of what sparked the fire here, I think.
That's actually not a bad point, yeah.
But I think YouTube, people have even asked Susan Wojciechowski what her, she's apologized. She said, look, we're sorry that we haven't been as active on this as you would have hoped, but on that same note, they're not going to take Crowder's channel down. So he's demonetized. That he's probably already suppressed, for all we know. I don't think there's much more YouTube's gonna do in this regard.
Yeah, I actually agree with that very much. It was actually kind of interesting watching. I think it might have been actually Crowder's video that he put up right before about how YouTube, the reason that they're the only ones we know of for video hosting nowadays for anything that's normal. You know, you don't look at LiveLeak, you don't look at Vimeo, you don't, or friggin' VidMe died.
Yeah, rest in peace.
It's like, you don't look at them anymore for video hosting because YouTube won the video hosting game. And the reason why is because they paid their creators.
Yeah, stop this. Let's go back to Newgrounds. I think they hooked a brother up. Let's.
Did Newgrounds ever input any sort of payment plan?
I don't know. I think they did. I think they must have, because you could when you're making your SWF file, you could actually put in commercials.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay.
so they were quite prepared for it. But I don't know if they. Yeah, I'm almost positive they would have been paying their creators.
Because like there were people that were sponsored by Newgrounds.
Yeah,
so it makes me wonder if they were sponsored monetarily or if they were sponsored by. Oh, what's that good thing they give? Exposure.
Oh yeah,
give bands exposure.
No,
you want to be a mad creator?
He must be making some cash off that website.
Who was that? Sorry,
Tom Fulp, who was the creator of Newgrounds. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Oh, right, yeah.
So this kind of comes down to they don't reckon Crowder's going to get kicked off the platform because he's too big a content creator, which brings us to the next fantastic, just riveting piece of news from E3 this past couple of days. DrDisrespect getting banned from Twitch.
Oh man, it's actually kind of funny. Speaking of that, people at Twitch hasn't actually come out and give a public announcement yet. Guy hasn't turned around and given an announcement about his channel yet. Sorry, for anyone who hasn't known, Guy is DrDisrespect's, I think is his nickname. His real name is something else, but he goes by Guy. He hasn't actually given an official announcement yet.
His name is don't know if he's Herschel Guy BM.
Herschel, that's right. Herschel. Oh, old Hersey.
Herschel boy.
Guy turned around. Sorry, not turned around. He hasn't given a statement yet. So the only thing everybody knows is that trying to access his channel, it is gone. It is out of here. So we actually have no clue whether or not it's coming back or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just checking it right now. The Tavern's lent me the iPad. I can't see the channel up. I can't see any comment over his Twitter. And considering I think he had a borderline daily upload schedule, what has he been doing for the past day or so? I'm assuming there is lots of talking going on behind the curtain.
Look, it's sort of the same thing where I look at Ninja, for instance, like, or Ninja or any of those other big. I was just trying to think of anybody else big on Twitch right now, but DrDisrespect, Ninja, or Tfue, any of those big guys. They, I feel, don't. I don't want to say don't have to abide by the rules because they do clearly, because he got Guy got banned.
Well, okay, so that's one of the things that Twitch does, not notoriously, but they don't tell you what the situation is. If you go to his Twitch, it just says that the channel isn't there. That
it's like you're gonna get a time machine or some shit.
Yeah, that can mean it's just suspended. He could be back. I doubt. I mean, yeah,
I just feel like he's pulling way too much money in.
I think we should probably explain to our audience what actually happened.
Oh, right. Yeah. So DrDisrespect, a massive streamer on Twitch, went to E3 and decided for his first time ever on his Twitch career, decided to stream in real life, or IRL stream as it's known. When you go around with effectively a camera crew and they film you as you do your daily life, just what you're doing in the day, it's like if you've seen vlogs or anybody filming themselves in public, it's that happening but in real time. And what happened is that DrDisrespect, well, what do you do when you're out having fun at a convention and you've had heaps of water? You got to go to the loo. You had to go to the toilet. So he went to the toilet, and rather than something simple like, I don't know, the cameraman filming other things as B-roll or sort of segue until he gets back, followed him into the public toilet. Problem is, filming in a public toilet is both illegal and against the TOS on Twitch. So he got himself banned.
Yeah, so it was, I mean, it wasn't a swift ban either.
it took a while.
There were a bunch of Twitch staff in his IRL stream at the time. They waited until it finished and then they banned him.
Yeah, that sounds like a classic money-making territory to me.
For sure. There was I forget the numbers, but it was tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people were in this live stream.
That's amazing.
But so obviously a breach of TOS, and I guess it's a breach of, I think it's California law about.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's against the law to film in a public. It's actually I don't think it's a felony as much as it is. It's actually, I think it's obscenity or something. Basically, where peering into a private area, which is like a bedroom, a toilet, a bathroom of any sort that contains a shower, bath, anywhere that you could like a dressing room.
But we're still talking criminal ramifications. Like
100%, 100%.
But there is a interesting loophole I heard about this, which I'll be interested to know because this is definitely approaching other kinds of laws. But Guy wasn't personally filming, and that's kind of one of the things that could be leveraged in this situation. When he did it, he didn't carry a selfie stick. He gave his camera to some interns.
Yeah, no, not to mention he also said straight, because people heard him and he was like, "Don't follow me."
Yeah, see, that's the awkward part, is because he said, "Don't follow me," but when he was in the bathroom, he started to play it up. I think he assumed that the cameraman, because he probably didn't know, but he probably assumed, well, maybe didn't know. I'm giving benefit of the doubt here. He maybe didn't know that the cameraman was getting all these people in the shot. Now,
including what turned out to be a minor at the end of it all.
That's always spicy for the bloody for the court case, isn't it? The fact that a minor was involved. But if the cameraman had just kept the camera down, pointed at the ground, because Doc did like some skits, and well, not skits, but he joked around. If the cameraman had simply kept his camera down on the ground and then put the camera on Doc when no one else was around, perfectly fine. You know?
I get that. Yeah.
Maybe not perfectly fine. Still a grey area, but he probably wouldn't have got banned for it. He probably would have
I feel that. I look at that and I think he's not really to blame here, because I don't want to. Let me clarify that. I don't want to make it sound like I don't want him to be for blame. I have specifically thought that he is to take responsibility. However, if somebody came up and I was screaming at 11 o'clock at night, and someone came onto my property and bashed on my window and told me to shut up because their kids are asleep or whatever, I don't particularly feel like I'd be that mad at them for trespassing.
Oh, yeah, or more importantly, are they in trouble for making noise when they tell you to shut up? The thing is, the big difference is that intern would have been on Doc's payroll.
Actually, that's exactly right. Yeah.
So I feel like maybe if you were working at Krispy Kreme and somebody goes, "Hey, that guy, was rude, go key his car." If an employee goes and does that, at what point is he being misinformed that that's a part of his job, or is that purely something where he should have figured out that wasn't a part of the job?
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, because I think food actually has a really good example. Can give a better example than I could. Sort of looking at it like, if somebody comes up to you and is like, "Hey, put this." Sorry, like your manager says, "No, it doesn't matter. Just put this food in there. It doesn't matter. It's a day out of date."
Yeah.
And then you put it on there, and then somebody dies. Like, are you then responsible for their death, or is the manager that told you to do it the main responsibility?
But the spicy meatball is technically the manager here has a moustache, glasses, and said, "Don't do this."
Actually, that's a very good point.
So, I mean, it'll be really interesting, and I'm assuming, unlike, lesser experienced online creators like Face Banks, Guy is he's not saying anything. That is the smartest thing to do right now.
Yeah, exactly right.
If this goes to court, he needs to just shut up and play it out, make sure everything's okay, and then he can go public about, which I'm assuming is an apology video.
Yeah, or an apology video, or just like how should I put it? The Miranda rights in America, that anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. That is such fucking that is a massive, massive spoiler. Don't say anything. Never say anything. Deal with it, and then once the verdict has been reached, then talk. Otherwise, all you're doing is stacking on evidence. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying ignore everybody, or it's like or actually no, ignore everybody. Turn yourself off for an entire however long you're doing your thing, and come back to it later, which is exactly right. And Doc has done a really good thing about it. And notice how nobody's jumping down his throat for it.
Well, I mean, the jokes are running like wine, but we'll have to see. Whether or not people actually hold this against him. I guess more importantly.
That's right. Well, I mean, as we talked about Lord and Savior Swedish Man before, he still doesn't have things held against him for what's happened before. So I sort of hope in the same regard, people can see past it as a moment of cloud, not clarity.
And I mean, this is definitely not a scandal in any... What's interesting here is that he got banned and effectively could be seeing, legal ramifications. But this is hardly even considered a scandal at this point. No one actually seems to think negatively of Doc. They think he's an idiot, for sure.
Yeah.
But no one actually thinks, I guess, negatively of him about this situation.
Yeah, it kind of seems like... I don't know. It just reminds me of a guy, like, I don't know if you know the generic person I'm talking about, but when you're at school, there was one guy who could do anything, and no matter what he did, people would just be like, oh, that's so him. What a douche.
Especially considering... DrDisrespect probably has the most charisma out of the entirety of Twitch. Just
yeah, he really does. What did somebody call him today? I heard about it. It was like the embodiment of an 80s action star.
Oh yeah. That's a great example.
Oh fuck, that was so good. Actually, you know what's funny? Speaking of E3, what did you think about the fact that virtually nobody got talked about except Nintendo?
Okay, well. Easy explanation to why no one cared about Sony is they did not a zip.
They weren't even there.
They weren't even present. I feel like when, because I've heard this opinion a lot as well. Everyone's just blown away by how much Nintendo has quote unquote won again. I feel like it's just because they're getting in last. Like, that's all they need to do. Don't get me wrong, I think they have announced some incredible things, but I think they're just getting in last, and it's holding the best kind of...
Yeah, the most recent memory sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people can say, oh, no one... I actually saw people on Twitter saying, nobody talked about Microsoft. I saw Keanu Reeves on every single piece of social media I have. Just
actually, you know what's you mentioning that? That's exactly right. Sorry, I'm going to let you finish what you're saying, but I want to just say that I heard Keanu Reeves about everything. I knew about Cyberpunk, whatever 2077 over it was.
Yep.
But I had no idea that was a Microsoft thing. Sorry, back to you.
Oh well, I mean, it would have been onto any. It's not coming to Nintendo. So, well, is it Microsoft? Shit, I think we have to edit that. No, is it? It's yeah, it's coming to PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows, but Sony wasn't there, so Microsoft gets to soak up all that glory.
Yeah, I mean, Keanu is a pretty good thing to have in general. So
I know, can't wait for the Keanu game. What are you excited for out of E3? Anything that isn't Nintendo related?
Nessa, her fucking camel toe that they put in there.
No, not Nintendo related.
Okay. Sorry, I was stuck on it, man. I couldn't stop saying it. I was like, yeah, can't wait for Nintendo to introduce some good shit about Pokemon Sun and Moon because I'm an avid Pokemon fan. But then they were like, hey, here's this new gym leader. Oh, lol, sorry, skin tight clothing. We're going to draw her with obscenities. Woohoo! Sorry, that's our fault.
Yeah, they haven't told us anything about the plot. They've just gone straight to the waifu bait. We've actually seen more characters than we have new Pokemon, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, and the ones that we have seen in the Pokemon wise, there's like a corgi because it's in New Zealand. What? In America? What am I saying? England. In England, and the Queen with her corgis, and then we've seen one Impidimp or whatever it's called, and it just looks like it just looks like something out of an old game I used to play on Sega that got way too frustrated and then blew blood vessels in its face. Like I don't know, it's so strange.
They're really running out of. I mean, corgi is a great choice, especially considering the location. But at this point, they're actually going to breeds of dogs, not even dogs. Like
yeah, like different breeds of them. Like here we go. What's it? I think it's called like it's called like Whammo or something. I can't remember. It's like. Shit, I can't remember. Oh, well, it's a cute little corgi. That's all people need to know. They'll know it when they see it, because it's a fucking corgi.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
The Pokemon that's the corgi.
Oh, yeah, I've got. I don't know.
I just can't remember his name.
I've seen the. I thought a lot of Microsoft stuff was really cool. Was it called Bleeding Edge? I think it was called. It was called.
Oh, Bleeding. Yeah, I saw that.
Holy smokes! I have no clue what that game is about, except for just kind of like a melee team fighter slang. The character design on that is just bizarre, and I'm so keen for that one.
Just wait till they introduce the battle royale mode.
Oh yes, I mean like Fallout did. Oh good. But yeah, I mean I'm a Smash Bros diehard. It's watching. Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, and the hero from Dragon Quest, I think it's called.
Sorry, he didn't mean anything to me. I only saw Banjo-Kazooie.
I think that's a fair trade because the hero it was hugely popular, especially in Japan, and Banjo-Kazooie was hugely popular in Western audiences. So I think the fact that they were announced at the same time was actually quite a let's appeal to everyone kind of.
It was an international bonding session. We all loved it.
Yeah, an international bonding session of people going, who the fuck is that? Why is there a bird in a backpack? But yeah, they just announced so much cool stuff. We already knew about Link's Awakening. We already knew about Luigi's Mansion. And did we know about Luigi's? Yeah. They already announced Pokemon Sword and Shield a few weeks ago, which is probably just because they thought it deserved so much hype of its own. They may as well give it its own platform.
Actually, I'm not going to lie. The main thing I'm very glad Nintendo finally did was give us gameplay and to show us, that sweet Z-axis. Oh my god, the camera gets to move.
Yeah,
on its own.
I still am kind of sketchy about this whole. Is it Dynamax? Dynamax. I'm still on the fence about that, but well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
The battle with Steelix seemed pretty cool, but when Steelix turned out that it could have its own fucking barrier halfway through, I'm like, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I feel like they're in such a important part, jumping across to the first proper game launched, first proper Pokemon title through Switch.
Yeah,
there's a lot on the shoulders. Yeah. They were really boasting that that kind of Breath of the Wild style open world environment, which they're going like, look, I can software can handle this now, which they probably could have back in the DS. Probably just would have looked like absolute arse.
Actually, you know what's interesting? I think there was 2 games on the DS by the end of it that could actually use. If you had a new 3DS that had the C stick, it could control the camera. But other than that, there wasn't really.
Oh, really?
Any other games
never
that could
noticed
use it.
that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just
it was only for like Smash Bros on DS where you could do smash attacks using the C stick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always had Pokemon was the only real title I used on the portables. Otherwise, I just mainly ran with the Nintendo Wii U.
Yeah,
which is a great console. Shut up, everyone. And I guess finally with the Nintendo Direct, they announced another Breath of the Wild. Are you a Zelda fan?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not a Zelda fan to the extent where I'll go out and buy it, but I like Zelda purely because it's a core title that's never done any real wrong by anybody, and it's a massive part of Nintendo, and I know people love it.
Yeah, it's this is just bizarre. Usually they've got different timelines, different art styles, and it when we get a new one, it's such a completely new piece of material. This time they've literally less than a year, maybe on a year after launch of the Switch.
Yeah, 2017 was... Actually, no, it'd be 2 years, because 2017 was Breath of the Wild.
You're making me feel old. Just so soon after, they're going, look, here we've got a new game, and it's a continuation, which is very unlike Zelda.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, an actual continuation of a story rather than writing a link into a different storyline.
Yeah, and I am fully stoked. Stoked as a stoked. Sorry, just speaking of not computer so much, but performance of these games coming out, Google and Microsoft are boasting their new gaming platforms. We've obviously...
is that the streaming service?
Yeah, so Microsoft has announced the Xbox Scarlet, spelled with 2 T's, and Google announced the Google Stadia, which are the gaming streaming platforms.
Okay, cool.
These things can stream at 4K.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a big Jesus from me. Now,
wait, 4K, dude, we can't even get that on Twitch or anything yet.
No, I mean, I don't know how. To what extent is that streaming? Otherwise, are you just downloading the game and then playing it? I don't really understand. But I heard, and this is pure hearsay, I've got no citations on this, but over the space of about 60 odd hours, you can rack up to a terabyte worth of internet usage.
That's huge.
Apparently. Now, to any audience members listening from America, they go, wow, that's a lot. To any audience members in Australia listening, you're thinking, holy shit, that is just not possible. there's no way.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you are a very casual player, and you're playing the occasional bit of gaming, that 62 hours is quite a lot. To people that actually want to smash out, especially when you're talking about like longer games, like the Metal Gear games or like The Witcher.
Oh shit, yeah, and you want to fucking complete the whole thing.
Yeah. 60 hours is chump change. If you're a competitive player for any, I mean, then again, any competitive games you wouldn't stream. I don't know the details here. I probably shouldn't be running my mouth on it, but I am getting concerned that the technology of the gaming industry is growing faster than the limitations of our own internet, especially here in Australia. Like,
I feel like that's happened a while back for Australia.
Yeah, that's true. Our internet, especially with our Nintendo consoles, have been pretty notorious. Like, in fact, at the moment, we've got some dude out the back clacking rocks together, trying to get a signal, and that's about the best our system gets.
He clacks in time with the wavelength of the music so that you can get across.
Yeah, we're running tin cans and string out here.
That's how we're doing it. We just have like a several kilometer long string for anybody who needs to talk ever. But I mean, it's lucky that we're in the tavern because we can just talk across to each other.
Yeah, the internet's just outside, so.
So, like, on top of clacking all the rocks and the tin cans that we have together, the one thing I did notice, though, somehow, somewhere in Australia, people have figured out how to be game journalists. And, oh my God, even our oldest newsletters and other sorts of newspapers have made their online accounts, but then turned around and hired these game journos that seem to have, one, either never played a game, or two, don't understand what change could be, and they're apprehensive to everything that could be new.
Now, I don't know if you're willing to call out here, but are you talking about any particular platforms? Or?
Yeah, the Sydney Morning Herald was the worst.
Okay, yeah.
That's why when I talk about newspapers, purely because we have a newspaper.
So I'm so out of touch with newspapers. I literally thought you meant like a digital newspaper. You're actually talking about
Kotaku too. Kotaku's just as bad. I feel like they've got a bunch of people who like just went through and they were like, all right, cool, here's a gift for you. You're going to go to E3. And when they got to E3, they were like, this is really great. We have tech, we have games because we run Kotaku. That's this massive online website and news dealer sort of thing. And then they get there and they're like, oh, we hated the whole thing. It's all new. It's like, what did you fucking expect?
I don't know.
To the E3.
I feel like this year, if anything, there was very little new so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was, or at least anything that was new or considered new was actually just an extension of something that was already built.
Until next year, or whenever the hell Stadia and Scarlet comes out.
Yeah, because that was the one thing. That was how I actually found out about the streaming platform, was by one of these crappy journalists that were talking about how bad the streaming platform was. But the funny part was, this journalist from the Sydney Morning Herald that was sent to E3 was sent by Microsoft and did nothing but shit talk the streaming platform.
Oh wow!
And I was thinking, wow, it's like, were you just like in this to burn bridges?
Oh,
like,
God,
what was your intent?
I don't know if we're going full circle here, but maybe this is just your standard. It benefits them to. I guess mainstream media still doesn't really report on video games as much. I guess it's still considered like
unless it's Fortnite. And it's got fucking what was the thing called? The chick the weird face creation.
The chick with the weird face creation.
It was the creepy. Oh God, I can't think of what she's called. She was showing up, and Filthy Frank even got dragged into it.
You're not the weird.
Like the weird creepy female face.
Wait, you're not talking about Momo.
Yes, Momo. That's where they talk about shit, and that's gaming and stuff.
But did that have anything to do with gaming? That was a part of it.
It had nothing to do with it, but all of a sudden it dragged Fortnite into it, and then all of a sudden parents are like, I can't let my kids play Fortnite.
I called Momo at 4 a.m. and this is what happened.
Sleeping at 3 a.m. You won't believe what happened.
Oh,
hashtag gone sexual.
Oh, hashtag gone sexual.
I woke up and my pants were around my ankles and my penis was in my hand.
Hashtag. There's something deep inside me that would just love to fucking do that. I would love to fucking wheel that out, you know?
Oh, dude. I remember once I made I think it was something a while back, and I just turned around and I added "gone sexual" to it, and it was just ridiculous to see how many people hear "gone sexual" and they're just like, "Oh my god, I need to click on this. How can insert mundane topic here turn sexual?" And I feel like that's the kind of thing where it's like meeting Momo at 3 a.m. gone sexual, and it's like, what did you do? Throat fuck it? Like, it's just a head.
No, it's got them chicken titties. I don't know what you're talking about, man. We think about the same thing. If you don't look at a face with chicken legs and you don't go, damn, I got to get me a piece of that chicken thigh. And we're just on completely different lengths there, for sure.
I legitimately forgot about the chicken legs.
I can't believe you're mentioning Momo. But I guess I'd like to pretend that this is a long gone, but it's probably only like 2 months old at this point.
I think it was. The only reason I bring up Momo, though, wasn't for any other reason than when you talked about mainstream, like games on mainstream television.
Yeah.
I will never forget. The reason why it actually gave me a 2-part plan here, which was Momo was brought up on Australian television because it was a fear campaign. Yeah, because it was in Fortnite videos, and then all of a sudden Fortnite got brought up about being the fucking devil. And the next thing I know, I remember one of my bosses when I used to work turned around one day and told me about how her son is never allowed to play Fortnite because of the kind of aspects it gives him in life. Yeah. And I was sort of like, what is this? And then it turned out the reason why she was doing that is because she was watching The View or something. Yeah. And they said that it turns boys into alt-right people. And I'm like, okay.
Let's be honest. If you've got a kid and they can't secure that chicken dinner, then what is even the point of having a kid? And you've got to get rid of it.
That's exactly right.
And that's probably her concern. She's like, my son is so trash at Fortnite. He's got to stop. Can't let him get publicly shamed.
And that's why Ninja is alt-right.
Yeah. Citation needed, but yeah.
This is, what's it? And that's what would have happened had I have said that for real. Oh, shit. Actually, you know what? I think, is it happy hour?
No, looks like happy hour's actually just finished up for the night. This has been Tavern at the End of the Internet. We'd love to catch you back here next week, so be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're getting your podcast. We'd really appreciate it if you could review us on iTunes and spread the word at eTav Podcast on Twitter. That's eTav Podcast. And if you do, we might give you a shout out next episode. Reese, where can we find you?
You can find me, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram at Netwinder, Netwinder, or on Twitter at RealNetwinder. And James?
Yeah, and you can catch me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram as A_Nurchin, Nurchin, and we'll catch you next week.
Fantastic. See you guys later.
Bye.